Today's Namaste Yoga begins a brand new series on Hanuman, and today's class is on taming your monkey mind. Hello and welcome to episode 211 of Namaste Yoga. We're still in Florida for one more day. It's been chilly all over North America, and this is probably the second warm day. It's just turned warm, actually. And so we thought we'd rush outside and take advantage of the warm weather and get in our second filming while we're here. And hopefully, if it's nice tomorrow morning, we can also film something for the members while we're here too. We really just haven't had very much opportunity to film because of rain and cold, and so it hasn't been super awesome that way, but it still hasn't been minus 20, feels like minus 35, so we're thankful for that. I have a testimonial to begin with today, and it's from Marcy. I just wanted to share my first experience with your site, Melissa. I'm a naturally thin 47-year-old who has never really had any physical practice. I chant daily but have been dreadfully out of touch with my body. It has been my intention for years to do yoga, but I never found a class that felt right. A few days after Christmas, passing by people in parking lot with my family, I said, I wish that we said Namaste to strangers in this culture. We'd all be so much happier. That afternoon, I decided to kickstart my yoga practice on YouTube. Since I can't afford and can't often get to classes and haven't found a local power yoga classes in the spirit of my intention. Trying to find the right class was overwhelming, and I stopped 2 or 3 videos 5 minutes through. It just didn't feel right. Then I stumbled on your Namaste yoga site, and I had such a deep emotional connection with the beginner's class, number 1, which was posted that I actually cried while doing the first session. I had tears of joy and yearning to connect and fall in love with my physical body, which is amazing. I've been doing the yoga almost every day since then, alternating with a treadmill, and feel so appreciative of your approach. Thank you so much for following your bliss. How meaningful. So thank you so much for leaving your comments on our website at melissawest.com. If you look on the YouTube section where we leave the show notes, the first link there is a link to our site, and if you click on that, then you can go right to our site and you can leave comments right on our site, and I'll respond to you there. And pretty much anywhere where you leave your comments, I'll respond to you. So we love hearing from you, and I love responding to you. Also, just want to say hello and welcome to all our new members. It's a popular time for people setting their intentions for the new year. And so we are hello and welcome. And we've had quite a few people sign up for our membership site over the last couple of weeks. And we just want to say how much we appreciate you joining us there. And thank you for that. So let's get started with today's practice on our introduction to Hanuman. And today's class on the monkey mind. So you could go ahead and rest back for that. Lie down on your back. So take a deep breath in through your nose. Let it fall out of your mouth. And allow yourself to land here now, and do whatever you need to let yourself get a little bit more comfortable here on your mat. So Hanuman is a half monkey, half human Hindu deity who is the central character of the Ramayana. And Hanuman's mind symbolizes the monkey mind, which is restless and never still. And I'm sure none of you can relate to that. So even though we all have this experience of our monkey mind that never stops, we can actually have control of it. Although we can't control the world around us, like the weather, the weather all over the world, and all the things that go on in our lives, not just the weather, things more serious than the weather, we can have control over our minds. And with discipline, we can tame the monkey. So during our yoga practice, we may think our mind is actually less unsettled than at other times of our day. But with deeper reflection, we can actually come to observe that our minds are actually just as agitated. When we're practicing our yoga, our minds are just as busy, whether it be with fear of like, oh my God, I don't want to do that pose, or boredom, like this class is so boring, or this pose is so boring, or I've done this pose a million times. You know, we've all had that process going on. Or how many times have you started to make your grocery list or your to-do list during yoga class? Or thinking back to an argument that you've had with a family member, or replaying an old drama or trauma in your mind, or even thinking ahead and wishing about something happening, or wanting something to happen. How often do you practice your yoga wishing your body would behave differently, or wishing your body was different? Bikram has been quoted as saying, "The human mind is like a drunken monkey that has been stung by a bee." I think that's just such a great quote. So how would your yoga practice, for example, be different if instead of criticizing each movement of your body, you accepted and thanked each part of your body for behaving exactly as it was? So what if your mantra as you practice was, "Thank you, body, for what you are able to do for me in this moment," without wishing or hoping for it to be different? I think that could be a powerful practice. And one of my intentions for this year is to create a series for gratitude, a yoga practice series for gratitude. In our book club on the membership site this month, we are reading Bringing Home the Dharma by Jack Kornfield. He suggests the formula R.A.I.N, R-A-I-N, as a way to tame our monkey minds, reminding us that rain falls equally on all things. And just as the rain outside can be nourishing to vegetation, the principle of rain can bring inner nourishment. So R.A.I.N stands for recognition, acceptance, investigation, and non-identification. So number one, recognition is the first step of mindfulness, the awareness that we are in the stuckness of our monkey mind. Jack Kornfield calls this the willingness to see what is so. And in Phoenix Rising Yoga Therapy, we would often ask the question, what is happening now? With recognition, we are able to move from ignorance to freedom. So the idea behind that is that so often we are tuning out of what's happening now, whether it be with food or coffee or sugar or social media or any kind of media. Is just a way to distract ourselves from what's actually happening. And so when we actually come to our yoga mats or to our lives with a willingness to see what is so, and we ask ourselves what's happening now, we move from ignorance to freedom. And then the second step of R.A.I.N is acceptance, which allows us to open to the facts before us in a relaxed way. And this is where I think it's really useful to practice. This is where I think it's, I'm going to say the same thing because I want to underscore it. This is why I think it's more useful to practice yoga as well as meditation, because if we can be relaxed in our bodies, it's helpful. allows us to also be relaxed in our minds. So it's our bodies and minds are one, and when we come at it with both together, it's really powerful. So that acceptance in a relaxed way, when we're relaxed in our bodies, we're relaxed in our minds. This doesn't mean being totally passive as a doormat. And in fact, it's a great act of courage to bring acceptance to a situation. And this idea of acceptance, when we bring acceptance to a situation, it means that we're looking at a situation as it is. And once we see a situation as it is, it's the first step towards transformation. We can actually see what needs to be changed about the situation rather than putting our blinders on, right? If we use the example of being tired, if we're not really willing to face the fact that we're tired, then maybe I'm going to jack myself up on caffeine and coffee again and go on with my day. But if I'm willing to accept the fact that I'm tired, then I'm going to come at it in a relaxed way, then it might be more beneficial for me to see that I need a nap. The third step of R.A.I.N is investigation. Thich Nhat Hanh calls this seeing deeply. The Buddhists say that when we get stuck, it is because we have not looked deeply enough. We can explore our bodies for held tension, emotions, or thoughts and judgments and beliefs about the situations. And finally, we can ask ourselves to explore the truth of the experience. And in other words, is this a story we've constructed? And I think here also being in our bodies is really helpful for this, because our bodies can really point us to where we're feeling things. When at the bottom line with this is my story causing me suffering or happiness? And then we move to the final step. The final step of R.A.I.N is non-identification. In other words, we have the opportunity to stop taking on the experience as mine or part of me. And this allows us to release anxiety and parts of us that are inauthentic. So then we become truly authentic beings. Off the yoga mat, we can't choose our life, but we can choose how we respond to it. Hanuman is the symbol of the perfect mind, as he embodies the highest potential it can achieve. He is the true picture of one with steady intellect, and he has perfect control of his mind. Hanan means annihilation, and Man means mind, which means somebody who has overcome their ego. Yoga is both the physical and mental technique to facilitate your union between the body and mind and connect with the divine. So today we're going to practice yoga with mindfulness, with Hanuman as our inspiration and as the symbol of a perfect mind. So go ahead and form your intention of what it is that you would like to receive, and maybe think about where your monkey mind usually goes to in your yoga practice. Does it go to fear or boredom, or what's the mantra that comes up most easily in your practice? This is too easy, this is too difficult, this is boring. And start to form your intention for your practice today. And once you've formed your intention, you can stay lying on your back. And start to wiggle and stretch out. Check in with your body and see what is happening now. See what is so. So that is recognition in the R.A.I.N acronym. And then you can go ahead and slide your right leg in. And maybe just start with a little bit of circling to loosen up the hip joint. Check in and see what is so in your hip joint today. Moving with breath. And then you're going to take your foot and hold on and do a half happy baby pose, Ardha Ananda Balasana. And you could use a strap here as well. And just notice what goes on in your mind in this pose. So what does your monkey mind say here? This is too easy. What is your mind saying to your body? Is there judgment or criticism going on here? Could judgment and criticism be traded for acceptance? And then you can release your right leg down and just take a moment to feel the difference between the two sides of your body. And then draw your left leg in and maybe even notice if there's some stories you start to tell yourself about the difference between your left and right hips, and see if you can let go of identification with those stories and come to this pose with beginner's mind instead. And circle the other way. And then draw your knee in towards your shoulder. So recognition of what's happening in your body here. Acceptance of what's happening here. Investigating a little bit more deeply of the physical sensations, the emotional reactions, any stories that go along with it. And then when the time is right, letting go of the story, any part of the story that causes suffering. And you know, we're in a lot of a contrived situation here, so that might be a little fast to run through those. Run through the rain. The run through the rain might be a little slower than that. And then you can go ahead and release this side of Ardha Ananda Balasana, half happy baby pose. And then we're going to roll over and come onto all fours for plank pose. Okay, so listen to what your mind's already telling you about plank pose. Because it might be, oh, plank's hard, I don't like plank. But just notice how your monkey mind starts to whir with that information. Or plank's boring. I don't know what your mind might tell you about plank pose. Or I love plank. I don't know. I don't know what the story is. But you know what your story about plank is. And see if you can let go of the story and instead bring awareness to what's happening to your plank and acceptance of what's happening to your plank this time. So elbows are underneath your shoulders. Roll your shoulders back and down. You're going to draw your hip bones back, and you can stay here in modified plank if you want. Tuck your toes under and lift your knees. And we'll hold here. Let's see if we can get Tim to time us for a minute here. Now notice what your mind says about plank pose for a minute. Breathing. Oh, we're done. That was a minute. Let's draw your knees back underneath you. Rest back on your heels. Okay. And then we're going to practice some balancing postures today. So this is in preparation for a standing balancing posture. I want you to come onto all fours and take your left leg to the back of your mat, your right arm to the front of your mat. Turn your elbow creases so it faces in and lift your arm and leg. So balancing postures are great for practicing acceptance because oftentimes we have to let go of perfection here because in balancing postures you're going to fall down. That's just the way it is. Eventually you're going to fall. And here I also wanted to practice a little bit of movement in your balancing postures. So you can draw your elbow to your knee and inhale and reach out again. Exhale, elbow to your knee. And inhale, reach out again. And this is going to be a modified version of doing something like this from down dog as well. So this is something you could come back to if you wanted to. And then bring your knee back underneath your hip and your hand back underneath your shoulder. And then we'll do that whole sequence on the other side. And just be aware of how your mind is reacting to all of this. So take your right leg to the back of the mat, your left arm forward, lift your right arm and your left leg and hold. And then inhale here. Exhale, draw your elbow to your knee. And inhale, reach. Exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale, reach. Exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale, reach. And then bring your arm and leg in. And you're going to sit back onto your heels for Balasana, child's pose. And then you're going to inhale back up onto all fours. And we're going to try a similar movement from Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. And this, notice what your mind says about that. Oh, that's too hard. Oh, I could never do that from there. And ask yourself, this is where the investigation part of the R.A.I.N comes in, right? Is that true? Is that true for me? Or is that just a story I've been telling myself for a long time? So when you ask yourself that, you can check in and see, maybe I need to try this time. Maybe it's not true for me. So we'll try it this time. So you're going to spread your fingers nice and wide. Tuck your toes under. Inhale. Exhale. Reach your hips up for Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. And by all means, if it is, and if you have reasons why you need to do it from quadruped, you can go back to doing it from quadruped. But maybe it's time to drop the story about I need easier poses and try harder poses. You can reach your right leg up, inhale, and exhale, draw your knee towards your forehead. Inhale, reach your right leg up. Exhale, round your back, draw your knee towards your forehead. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, knee to forehead. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, knee to forehead. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, knee to forehead. Last one on this side. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, knee to forehead. Bring your right leg down. And let's just take a little rest before we do that sequence on the other side. So inhale back up onto all fours, and maybe you're going to try on this side. Inhale, tuck your toes under. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. And then inhale, reach your left leg up for downward facing dog split. Exhale, round your back, draw your knee towards your forehead. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, knee to forehead. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, knee to forehead. Inhale, reach up. 2 more. Exhale, knee to forehead. Inhale, reach up. And last one. Exhale, knee to forehead. Inhale, reach up. And then you can come back to Adho Mukha Svanasana, or if you're doing this from all fours, come to all fours and join us in downward facing dog. And then walk your feet from downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana, to your hands and make your way up to standing. Okay, so from standing, you're going to be standing at the top of your mat here. You're going to take a big step back with your right foot. We're going to do a high lunge here, so both your toes are going to be pointing straight ahead. You're going to sink down through your front left sit bone till your front leg is at about a 90-degree angle. And bring your arms straight up. So notice what's happening now in your physical body, how your mind's responding. Turn towards your big toe ball joint. Are you saying, my legs are burning, this is too hard? Then you're going to turn towards your front bent leg and twist in this high lunge. And notice how your body's reacting to it and what your mind wants you to do about it. There's a lot of fire in this pose, and normally when there's a lot of fire, what do you want to do? Any normal person wants to get out, yep. Okay, find a way to let this posture out of your body and come back up towards the front of your mat. 'Just take a deep breath in Let it fall out of your mouth. Okay, so we'll do the high lunge and the high lunge with your twist again on the other side. So this time you'll take a step back with your left foot. You're doing great. So your hips are pointing straight ahead. You're distributing your weight evenly on the back of your foot. So your foot's probably going to want to roll out. Point your hips straight ahead. Feel that opening at the front of your left hip. Sink down through your front right sit bone. You want to bring that front leg parallel to the ground. Bring your arms straight up. And then rotate towards your bent leg. And find a way to let that posture out of your body. You might want to give those legs a little shake, because if they're like mine, they're burning a little. So we are going to do Utkatasana next, but I think I'm going to give your legs a little break and do balancing posture next. So we're going to do Virabhadrasana 3, Warrior 3, and we're going to do them with eagle's arms. Okay? So stand on your left leg, and you're going to tip forward until your body comes parallel to the ground. You could use a wall or a chair to hold on to. You could bring your arms out to the side for more balance. But I thought this pose would be great for practicing the principles of R.A.I.N. So recognizing what's happening, bringing acceptance to what's happening, investigating what's happening, and non-identification with your story. And then find a way to let that posture out of your body. And we'll do this on the other side. This time you'll stand on your right foot, bring your right arm up, hook your left arm underneath it, and some options for eagle's arms are just elbows together instead, or backs of the palms together instead of fronts of the palms together. And then you hip hinge until your torso comes parallel to the ground. And find a way to let that out of your body. And bring your feet underneath your hip bones. You're going to inhale, bring your arms straight up. Going to exhale, sit down into chair pose. So chair pose, I think, this was used to be one of my least favorite poses. If you got a block, put it between your knees. Because it's hard and it hurts your legs. And so that's the whole story that goes on, right? So I don't want to do this pose or whatever the story is, or it hurts my legs. So recognizing that that's the story, bringing acceptance that this is a pose that builds strength in our legs and that it's going to build heat in your legs, and then investigating, going a little deeper into what's really happening and what it is you don't like about it, and maybe non-identification with the suffering part of it. So we're going to inhale, reach up. Exhale, sit back into chair pose, tuck your tailbone under, sit down nice and low. Or maybe your mind just says this is boring. Or easy, I don't know. Okay, now you're going to take your right hand to the outside of your left foot, reach your left arm up. And come back to the center, the other side, left fingertips to the outside of your right foot, reach your right arm up. And your elbows to the outside of your knee. Okay, and then you get to stand up and feel your rubber legs. Lots of twisting in this class too, which will probably help with the non-identification. Okay, and then take your feet wide on your mat. Inhale. I'm kind of identified with this story right now that I have rubber legs. You're gonna roll your pelvis over your leg bones and fold forward. Let your head pull on your vertebra of your cervical spine, your neck. Let the weight of your head lengthen out your cervical spine. And all of your spine can lengthen here. So you might be able to hear some kids in the background. There's a nursery school right behind us. You might also be able to hear the cars. There's a road right in front of us. So we got the screamers in the background and I don't know what we want to call the people in the cars, but it's kind of a busy place. But gorgeous palm trees in the background. Very Florida. And it's not minus 30, yes. Okay. From here, you're going to come down to lying on your stomach. So we're going to do a back bend here. I'm actually going to change my mind about what back bend I was going to do. So when we do the show notes tomorrow, Tim, you'll be like, where's Puppy? I'm going to go back to my first intention of doing Cobra Bhujangasana. Because I think when we decide to do back bends, at least maybe you're different than me, but I start to tell myself all kinds of stories about how my back bend should look or how far back it should go. And I think this is where the principle of R.A.I.N is so important. So where we recognize where our body is at today, we accept where our body is today, we investigate kind of all the stories of the deeper things that are going on and maybe emotional holdings in our body and the stories that we're attached to about where we should be in our back bends, and then we just let them go. So I think I'm going to choose Bhujangasana and really encourage you to be present to what actually is happening in your body and honoring that versus being with kind of some preconceived idea of what this pose should look like today. So press the front of your pelvis into the ground, draw your elbows back, inhale, exhale, then inhale. Really be present with your body and your spine as it lifts up off the ground. Listen to your body and respond to where it wants to be today. And then slowly lowering down. Just stay here for a moment in crocodile pose. Allow your spine to rest. Notice any monkey mind happening about criticizing your body or judging your body for what it did or didn't do in that pose. And then from here, you can come up and give your body a nice counter pose with balasana. Lots of child's pose in this class today. It's nice. And then roll up to seated. And from seated, we're going to do some forward folds. And these, unless your body forward folds easily, you probably have all sorts of monkey mind stories your body you tell yourself. So from seated, this is where I suggested a blanket for elevating your pelvis in the show notes. So you might want to get a blanket to sit up on, and that'll help roll your pelvis over your leg bones a little more easily. Pull the flesh out of the way a bit to help that as well. And sit in Dandasana to lengthen up through your spine. Okay, I chose Paschimottanasana today, seated forward fold, because for me, I just struggle with this pose so much. So here's all sorts of stories about I'm a yogi, I'm a teacher, I've been teaching for years, and I can't do this pose. That's my story. And it's true. So that's the judgment and criticism that happens. And so I'm just going to bring loving acceptance to that's what is in this pose for me. See if I can just be in it today, rolling my pelvis over my leg bones, and see if I can be present to the sensations that are happening in my body, rather than being with the story. Inhale, come back up. And you can go ahead and rest back on your back for Savasana. So as you rest back and reflect back on this class, on our first class on Hanuman and monkey mind, and Hanuman as this really great example, as a symbol of a monkey who has control over his monkey mind. Just reflect back and notice what it was like to have the tool of R.A.I.N, recognition, acceptance, investigation, and non-identification as a tool for reigning in your monkey mind in your yoga practice. And when you reflect back on what it was like to bring awareness to your monkey mind during your yoga practice today, what stands out? What seems most important? And how does that awareness, that thing that stands out about bringing awareness to your monkey mind in your yoga practice today, relate to the rest of your life? What's the life connection here? Maybe you feel as frustrated with your monkey mind as that screamer does. Ah! So what's one small thing you could do as you come off your mat this week and into your life with the awareness of monkey mind and the acronym R.A.I.N, to take control of your monkey mind this week? One small thing, not change your whole life kind of thing, just one small thing to make a little bit of difference, something that's going to rest your monkey mind a bit and soften and open your heart just a little bit more. You can rest back for as long as you wish. And I would encourage you to rest back for 5 or 10 more minutes if you can. When you're ready, you can allow your breath to deepen. Wiggle and stretch out. Bend your knees. Roll to your right side and make your way up to seated. Thank you for joining me for episode 211, our first class in the Hanuman series. I will see you on the membership site. Leave your comments on the membership site about how you are going to take action on controlling your monkey mind this week. Or you can leave your comments on melissawest.com. If you watch on YouTube or iTunes, you can always just follow the link to my website there. And I look forward to hearing your comments. And I will see you next week back in snowy Ontario, the Great White North. Namaste.